Today's episode is brought to you by Patreon. If you're interested in supporting the show, go to patreon.com/JoshuaVelas and become a $2 backer today and get early access to the new episodes. I'll be leaving a link in the description down below, but for now, on to today's episode. You're listening to the Augment Experience podcast. I'm your host, as usual, Joshua Velas. I'm a student, musician, and a gamer at heart. Join me as I sit down every week to talk about all the latest news in the technology, business, and video game world. I hope you guys enjoy. Alright, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is Joshua Velas. I'm your host as usual, and obviously welcome back to the show. Today's episode 233 of the show, and before we get started, we're just going to do a bit of house cleaning as well. You guys don't like to do it around here, and it only makes sense that we do it, so, well, let's just get on with the house cleaning. I do want to say thank you guys for coming back and listening to today's episode. It does mean a lot to me. You guys constantly take time in your days to download these episodes, to share these episodes, to constantly keep letting me know how you feel, whether you like my stupid face or not. And to be honest with you, it's also funny because we're doing this episode on a Friday again. And yeah, there's kind of a reason why. And I was honest when I said there was technical difficulties because, well, I actually did make an upgrade to my PC this past week. And so I ended up switching over from my RTX 3070 up to a Radeon 6900 XT. So that's part of the, well, birth pains, if you would say, with changing from an AMD processor to an NVIDIA GPU to now all AMD in my rig. So it definitely took a little bit of a learning curve to figure this stuff out, but here we are. But I do want to say thank you guys for being patient with me and, well, taking time to come listen to this episode, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, where you like to listen to your podcast, or you're watching the video version on YouTube. At the end of the day, I greatly appreciate the fact that you guys download these episodes and you guys share them and you guys constantly are letting me know how you feel. Because at the end of the day, I wouldn't just do this if it was just like I didn't care. Like, I'm being honest with you. Like, I always enjoy talking about this stuff, which is one of the reasons why today's topic, since we're jumping into it, I did have to redo this, if I'm being honest with you. Because originally, the episode was supposed to be about the leaks that it came out of the Pixel 7 that essentially was already confirmed and what to expect. And then the Pixel event happens. And so now we have better confirmation. So rather than doing a leak video about the Pixel 7, Pixel 7 Pro, let's break down the event and also talk about the more grand implications that come out of this event. Because some people will be like, well, new Pixel phone, Pixel watch, obviously the earbuds are there, and then a Pixel tablet. Why should we care? And here's the overarching idea that I want us to keep in the back of our minds as we talk about what was shown off at the event and the significance of some of these things. And it's the idea of creating other options for people. It's this idea of having ecosystems that are reliable, that are actually interconnected, that are able to deliver quality experiences that customers will use and continue to grow into and continue to want to, well, remain in this case, like how Apple does with their ecosystem, Samsung is doing with theirs, and now because of this event, Google is now finally establishing their own ecosystem, which is exciting with some of these things being shown off, and we'll talk about them, as we go through the event. So let's talk about like one of the first main things that sticks out. The fact that we are getting a new processor, the G2 Tensor chip. And here's my personal take. I'm saying this now right off the bat. When Google transitioned into making their own chips, so that means their in-house silicon, when it came to Tensor, yes, some people were like, okay, this is exciting. We're interested to see what Google does with it. And obviously, like, some of the benefits that came with it was a lot of the machine learning, some of these more AI algorithms and things like that. There were some clear drawbacks in the sense that thermal performance was a bit shoddy with these things in terms of, well, the radio signal and how like efficient the processor was and things like that. There was a lot of concerns with the radio signal on, say, the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro in terms of like the battery performance and things like that. So the fact that this new G2 chip is built on the idea of better efficiency, so this would mean better battery life, and also maybe dealing with some of those issues with like connectivity and things like that, I think it's going to be interesting to see what this G2 chip does, along with other AI implementation, machine learning, because as we've seen as we saw during the Pixel event, there is a lot more focus on some of these more AI aspects that, it makes sense that a new chip that is more heavily tuned towards this AI algorithms, all of this machine learning and things like that, it makes sense that it's going to do a lot of these tasks much more efficiently and better. So the fact that we got that stuff out of the way, because let's be real, some people joke, well, you might as well just call this event a G2 event to talk about that new Tensor chip. But we did see some new stuff, and I say new, but in reality, a lot of the stuff had already been leaked. We already knew about it existing, and one of them is the Pixel Watch. I don't think anybody was caught off guard or surprised by this, the fact that a Pixel Watch was going to happen. People were very excited about it, well, in the sense that they've been wanting Pixel to do a watch. I personally believe the Pixel Watch should have happened around the Pixel 2 launch. I think especially that was at the height of the Pixel brand, if we're being a little bit honest here, that this is where the Pixel was well known, was during the Pixel 2 and 2 XL, primarily with like the panda color. It was arguably considered one of the best phones on the market, and it still is one of my personal favorite phones I've ever owned, which is my Pixel 2 XL. Just being honest with you, I adored that phone tremendously, and I really do miss it. But that's part of the process, is that, well, now we get a watch. And the watch is a very simple, straightforward, it's just meant to be a very simple watch, is really what it is. It's essentially, I don't want to call it like an Apple Watch SE. I don't want to call it that. But with how it's priced and things like that, it's like, yeah, like it's definitely cheaper than the Apple Watch, because it's, the model that comes with LTE and Bluetooth and connectivity and stuff like that. That one is going to be the starting price of $399, while say the normal one that has like Bluetooth and Wi-Fi is like $349. So it's like, okay, it makes sense. But then we transition into the new Pixel phones. And this is where, yes, it's a new Pixel phone. What I think is the most important thing here is the fact that the new chip, the new camera upgrades, and at the same time, what is the overall experience going to be with these new phones? Because we've acknowledged how things were with the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro when they came out. It was Pixel's first big redesign in a very long time. It was an actual step forward, obviously using their own silicon, and it was the first generation of this type of design and stuff. So now we have a second generation, which goes with a Gen 2 chip, and we get to see some of these new implementations, like improving the telephoto. Now it's up to, I think it's at 5 times optical is what they said they're at right now. And then obviously like implementation with like a super zoom and things like that, like some of these more software features, along with the new versions of Android and, face unlock coming back, which some people are like, well, why was it gone to begin with? But okay, we have it back. And aside from those things, I don't really know what else to say about the new Pixel phones besides like, well, the new design. Obviously, throughout the event, Google was clearly taking shots at Apple, whether it be things about cross detection, whether it be always on display. It's just expected. Google was always going to do that because, lol, that's just how Google is. At the end of the day, that's how they are. But as we go through the event, one of the big things that was shown off, or at least they began showing us stuff about it, is the first Pixel tablet. This is Google's first attempt with the Pixel branded tablet running on Android, their own Tensor chip. And this is where it gets interesting, because Android tablets have always been in that interesting spot. And we've seen this. People, when they talk about tablets, they always just recommend you buy an iPad, because an iPad is considered the best tablet money can buy because of just what you're able to do with it, the access and the quality of the apps. So I think the fact that Google is entering the tablet space, making their own tablet, it looks nice. And at the same time, the fact that it's using their own processor, I'm interested to see how this turns out. I want to know the specifications of it, specifically aside from the G2 chip, like how much RAM, how much storage, how much they're gonna cost, and things like that. Like there's a lot of factors that people want to know. But based off what we're seeing, the fact that, it has magnetic adapters in the back, same way how like the iPads have they're not the lightning connectors, but you get what I mean. It's obviously the connectors on the back so you can connect like magnetic keyboards and stuff like that. And the fact that the Pixel tablet in this case is able to do that with a charging stand, which the charging stand looks incredible. And the fact that you can actually use it as a Nest Hub. Yeah, it's a very interesting product to say the least. And I think in this category where Android tablets, some people be like, oh, well, Android tablets aren't struggling, bro. They're just amazing. You're just a hater. And I'm like, well, we also have to acknowledge the market here. And in this case, well, Apple is leading the space in the tablet market. So I think having more competition, and this is the overarching idea, I don't think adding more competition in the space is bad. We just want to make sure that that competition is good. And the fact that Google is still taking their sweet time to show more information about it, I feel like by the time we get to the point that they actually show proper information, I think it's gonna be interesting. I'm interested to see how this thing performs. I'm interested to see the thermals. I'm interested to see the battery life. I'm interested to see what people are able to get out of this experience, because at the end of the day, guys, this whole event was designed to show that Google is now making their own ecosystem, that they have options to get you in trends aside from, say, like things like making a new Pixelbook Go. Like the fact that now this ecosystem is starting to become more and more defined with new earbuds. We're talking about tablets, we're talking about new cameras, we're talking about smartwatches. You start to notice how this ecosystem is being built up. And clearly, that's the name of the game here. The whole point was to establish this new ecosystem, because that's what people have been wanting, because that's why people buy products. They want to feel invested in their platform. This is why people spend so much money on their PS5 stuff. People spend so much money on their Series X stuff. People spend so much money on their Switch stuff. There's people that spend so much money on their camera gear. The list can go on and on and on, but the name of the game is creating an ecosystem, something that is easy to manage, easily works together, and you don't have to worry about like this whole girth pains or birthing pains of dealing with other platforms as you work on one primarily. And it's just, I applaud them for it, to be honest. I think it's very smart. Like the tablet is what has me the most interested, because I genuinely want to see how does this perform in a real day in a life, especially with people using it, because let's be real, it's a tablet. So the Pixel tablet is going to be that item that has me the most interested. And I'm interested to see the pricing. I'm interested to see the performance, like actual benchmarks. But obviously the new phone is another big thing too. The phone is very impressive. I like the sensors. I like the fact that we're getting a new processor, so that means new efficiency. It's just, you start to see how Google is trying to get people locked into the ecosystem by showing value. They want people to feel incited, or at least in this case, they want people to feel like, hey, I'm investing in this company because I genuinely enjoy their products, I enjoy their services. You start to notice how the revenue generates itself here. In this case, it's going to be interesting, if I'm being honest with you guys. Like, I'm interested to see how this turns out. Like, I think the Pixel phone is going to do decently well. I think the watch is going to do very well. I think the tablet is what everyone's really going for, because the tablet is probably like the most entertaining and exciting thing that's came out of this event. But there's some other stuff here and there, like talk about the security features, and well, aside from the security features, not really much else to talk about, y'all, if I'm being fully transparent with y'all. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the Pixel 7 competes in this market. I'm interested to see how the Pixel tablet will compete in its market when it comes out in 2023. I'm excited to see how the Pixel watch competes. If it's going to stay on shelves, is it going to go on sale sometime during Black Friday? We got no idea. But at the end of the day, I'm excited to see how all of this is going to work and how this is all going to turn out. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. I know this episode is a little bit shorter, but we also want to focus on this idea of building platforms, building brand recognition. And at this point, the Pixel brand, yeah, we acknowledge that the Pixel brand is not as strong as, say, the iPhone in North America when it comes to marketing, presenting itself, the fact that people are willing to spend exuberant amounts of money to just get the newest iPhone. And in comparison, the Pixel phone is much cheaper and you probably get more out of it for your bang for your buck, to be honest with you. But they don't care about that. And, it's going to be interesting to see how all of this is going to turn out, to be honest. I'm excited for that tablet. I'm excited to see the new phone. I'm excited to see the watch. I'm excited to see so many reviews, commentators left, right, and single talking about things that can be improved, things that are great. We want to do that because the more people that are just being honest and transparent about their thoughts about stuff like this, well, you're probably going to feel more inclined to watch their stuff. And in my case, that's my job. I'm trying to get you to watch this stuff because I don't just want to regurgitate info that's like common sense as logic. Like, no, I want us to have this more thoughtful conversation. Like, think about some of this more psychological aspects. And to be honest, it is going to be interesting, especially with the new ecosystem. Here's the other thing too. Customers have to put their money where their mouth is. They talk about wanting new ecosystems. They talk about not wanting a monopoly from NVIDIA, AMD, Intel, or in this case, Apple, Samsung. Because I know we mentioned like these companies, but like Apple, Samsung, and even NVIDIA and stuff like that, like we talk about people wanting to build an ecosystem. But when push comes to shove, well, they back out. They don't put their money where their mouth is. That's why Samsung and Apple still continue to maintain the highest revenue shares and things like that, because they have this established ecosystem. So having somebody else come into the market and make their own ecosystem, yeah, some people are going to be skeptical. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But we have to acknowledge it as the reality here. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, thank you for being patient with me. The fact that this episode took a lot longer to come out, I acknowledge that, and I am grateful that you guys are patient with me, especially with some of these technical issues. I'm excited. Personally, the Pixel tablet, I can't wait to see more info about it. That's what I care about the most, is seeing more info on that tablet. But again, thank you guys for everything. Again, for the Patreon backers, thank you for supporting the show. I greatly appreciate you guys constantly taking my days to download these episodes, to share them. And thank you for just being awesome, and you get early access to these episodes. But I'm not saying I'm lost for words. I'm interested to see how this all turns out, if I'm being honest with you. But that's all I got, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming back and listening. I really, really do appreciate it. Again, I understand this episode came out on Friday. Didn't come out during our normal time, but we will be back to normal schedule next week, guys. So you don't want to miss out on that. But I hope you guys all have yourselves a wonderful week and weekend. I hope you guys don't do anything dumb, because let's be real. Not only is the internet a weird place, outside is starting to become a weird place too. So let's try to be mindful and respectful of those around us, and well, keep pushing forward, if I'm being honest with you. But I love you guys for everything. Thank you guys so much for just everything that you guys do. I really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys. Hey there. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your day and listening to today's episode. If you're interested in supporting the show, whether it be financially, clicking the follow button, or just sharing the episode, it all works for me, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time, and I love you guys to death.